They don't go for solar. And within the university system, no, I must place the unions in proper pathway for people to understand.
Hello and welcome to the program. Now, after 104 days medical leave in the United Kingdom, President Muhammadu Buhari returned to Nigeria amidst wild and spontaneous jubilation across some states. His first major assignment actually was to address the nation on what he described as critical issues that caught his attention while away. Now, these issues, of course, include Nigeria's unity, the wave of insecurity in the northeast, hate speeches, that's, of course, threatening the unity of Nigeria, and the fight against corruption. The president's speech, however, did not receive so much commendation, I should say, because while some people applauded it, some people actually condemned it. Let's take a listen now to some of what President Buhari said in that speech.
Every Nigerian has the right to live and pursue his business anywhere in Nigeria without let or hindrance. I believe the very vast majority of Nigerians share this view. This is not to deny that there are legitimate concerns. Every group has a grievance, but the beauty and attraction of a federation is that it allows different groups to air their grievances and work out a mode of coexistence. The National Assembly and the National Council of States are the legitimate and appropriate bodies for national discourse. The national consensus is that it is better to live together than to live apart. Furthermore, I am charging the security agencies not to let the successes achieved in the last 18 months be a sign to relax. Terrorists and criminals must be fought and destroyed relentlessly so that the majority of us can live in peace and safety. Therefore, we are going to reinforce and reinvigorate the fight not only against the elements of Boko Haram, which are attempting a new series of attacks on soft targets, kidnappings, farmers versus herdsmen clashes, in addition to ethnic violence fueled by political mischief makers. We shall tackle them all. Finally, dear Nigerians, our collective interest now is to eschew petty differences and come together to face common challenges of economic security, political evolution and integration, as well as lasting peace among all Nigerians. I remain resolutely committed to ensuring that these goals are achieved and maintained. I am so glad to be home.
All right, now joining me to discuss the issue of the security situation as contained, of course, in the president's speech is two gentlemen, actually. Dennis Amakri is a security consultant and, of course, a security analyst. I also have Ahmed Kadri, who is also a security analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Mr. Amakri. You listened to the president. You listened to his speech. A lot of people felt, well, that the president should have, dwelt on other issues. But basically, the entire speech, you look at it, it was basically focused on security. Just give me your own thoughts on that.
Yeah, the president was away from the country for about more than 100 days. And then he came back and he met a country that was totally disjointed. A lot of problems all over the place. You have the Arewa youths in the north asking the Igbos to quit. You have the Yoruba Liberation Command in the west, trying to declare their own independence or Dudua Republic. You have IPOB in the east. also trying to do their own thing, even creating a Biafran secret service, which I think to me is very treasonable anyway. So he met a country that was under a serious security problem. And I'm not surprised that he has to, address it immediately with the service chiefs.
Mr. Kadri, give me your own take on that.
My take is that the president, in his speech, has started dwelling on issues that have, before now, ought to have been addressed. The buzzword right now is restructuring. I believe that he ought to have addressed this issue, and well, I'm gladdened that he seems to be on the same page with what's on everybody's mind right now. And the sooner we tackle this problem of restructuring, the better for us as Nigerians, or else the whole thing will fester, and we will not be the better for it. So the sooner the president gains traction on this burning issue of restructuring, because this is what I really focused on in the speech. The sooner we gain traction on this, the better for Nigeria. Okay,
well, restructuring is a different thing. It's not actually what we're talking about here today. I actually want us to dwell on, the issue of security. Let me come back to you, Mr. Makary. During the week, we saw UNICEF coming out with quite shocking reports that
Yes.
just between January, no doubt, of course, I mean, Boko Haram has scaled up its suicide attacks, but no one would have thought that 83 young girls and, of course, guys would have been used. And, of course, 83 persons, and UNICEF saying 55 of that 83 young girls, women, and in one case, a lady with a baby strapped on her back. I mean, that is quite disturbing. What do you think is driving or is pushing Boko Haram now to resort to the use of young girls and, of course, very young people, some as young as 10 now, for suicide bombings?
Yeah, because you know that using those kind of people serves their purpose, because they are trying to make sure that they conceal the suicide bombers as much as possible. And in the north, if you go there, you find out that there are people that are wearing
the
hijab, and you don't go start searching all those people just like that. So it is part of the cultural cover that is being used to make sure that they are really covered. But most importantly is the fight that Boko Haram is fighting with Nigeria. The fight is an ideological fight. As that's why, we have always advised that government should come up with a different narrative, counter-terrorism narratives, de-radicalization narratives, where the people that are being recruited into these things will also change their mind, because it's a war of the minds and hearts of people. So if we just ask military chiefs of staff to go down there and fight them, and that is not really winning the fight.
There's no battlefield now. I mean,
yes,
there isn't much of a fight going
exactly.
on now.
The enemy is asymmetric, and it does not wear a uniform, so you cannot say this is one of them, this is one of them. And they are now using little girls, pregnant women, wearing hijabs, and they blend into the society, and then, of course, they know their targets.
What do you? I mean, you look at the sheer number of young persons that have been used as suicide bombers. 83, quite huge. It would seem to suggest that there is a fertile ground for the recruitment of suicide bombers in the northeast of the country, especially. I'm talking about especially Borno State, so to speak. I want you to speak to that now in the light of the allegation made by the military some time ago that some parents may actually be volunteering their children, giving their children up for suicide bombing missions.
You see, the foundation the genesis of Boko Haram is built on religious fanaticism. And it dwells in a society, in a culture of fanaticism. I have lived in the north, and I am a Muslim. But you
so
see,
it means that it dwells in a culture that accepts it.
it dwells in a culture that
It's
accepts
part of it.
It dwells in a culture where fanaticism is quite rife.
Yes.
So you preach. It's very easy to have sympathizers to the cause. So the Boko Haram, the leadership of Boko Haram, seems to be quite intelligent. They have built into that culture, and they are taking advantage of it, which is the reason why it won't be difficult for them to walk to the doorstep of any family and demand that they sacrifice for the cause that they are fighting for. So it's a very fertile ground. Now, the government has to change, like my colleague has said, the government has to change its narrative, has to change its approach in trying to win the hearts and minds of the people there, because this war is now psychological, which is more dangerous.
Now, in terms of winning the hearts and minds of the people, I mean, we can see, for instance, the Air Force doing a lot on the ground, setting up hospitals all over the place, taking care of those who are ill. We have hospitals all over the place, in Maiduguri, in places like Adamawa, and of course you have them in Yobe. So it appears the strategy too is not going far enough. It appears, or is it a case of you don't expect instant results?
One, you don't expect instant results. Two, you have to, building hospitals and taking care of the wounded and the dead is not enough.
Yes.
You have to go through the religious leaders, the imams, heads of families, teachers in the community, traditional rulers in the society. You have to go through these channels in order to be able to get an in-depth, to get to the core of the society and win them back. Yeah. So a lot of groundwork has to be done. The Minister for Internal Affairs, people in government, people who have a reach into these societies, anybody in government who has a reach into these societies should join in this fight.
And to add to that, I think there is an important aspect that I think we are forgetting. The poverty level. How do you recruit
Northeast,
people?
of course.
Yes, because ISIS was doing it in Syria, where if you come to join, even through the internet, they give you $3,000 up front before you join. So you have money in your hands. Now, recruiting terrorists is very fertile in areas where the poverty level is very high. So these people are poor, and then at the same time, the ideology is there with them, and they are telling you, come in, we will feed you. We will feed you, and you fight, and you do all kinds of things, you have a better life than what Nigeria is offering you. And now for some of them who had even been, who have been released and come back, who are in the IDP camps, are being violated.
Exactly.
Being violated. So some of them want to even run back to where Boko Haram is. So these are the things that the government have to concentrate on in addressing. Otherwise, we'll continue to have these problems.
Would you also say that, as security analyst now, that somehow it appears we're not getting it right in terms of intelligence gathering? Because the question I keep asking is, where are these suicide bombers coming from? Good. And they just keep coming. So they must be coming from somewhere.
The suicide bombers are coming from, from the... You see, let me put it this way. Boko Haram has maybe an enclave in Sambisa Forest. But at the same time, they have their cells that are inside the society that are living there. There are supervisors.
And if that society does not inform on them?
Yes, of course.
It's a no-show.
So these cells can be called up at any time. And then they can strap them and tell them to go to this particular place. Go to this particular place. So they are being controlled, and the cells are within areas in Maiduguri, all over the place. So, like you said, intelligence gathering is very, very key to this. Because this kind of war is not fought with guns.
No.
It's not fought with guns. It's fought with
Intelligence
serious
led.
intelligence.
And of course, in terms of intelligence, if the people are not giving you
You need the
intelligence,
society to give you intelligence.
Exactly.
And the way these cells work, to borrow from him, most of the time these cells are independent of each other.
Yes.
They do not
They don't
know each other, which
yes.
makes it more dangerous. So any
really?
cell can be picked at any time. No one cell knows each other.
Yes.
So
That's
that they do not cooperate and
Or
make their
compromise
compromise each other. So any cell can be picked at any time to go into the field.
It's just baffling that, getting them, at least just to get one of the cells has been proving difficult.
You see, that is why the cells do not know each other. You
Yes.
get one cell,
You cannot
he cannot
tell
give you
him.
any information about the other cells.
correct.
So where are you going to go from there? So the important thing here is for government to be very, very intelligent and psychological about winning this war. Provide basic infrastructure, provide jobs,
Correct.
go into their minds, try to de-radicalize them, go through the traditional leaders, like I have said. If you go through these means, you'll be able to gain some traction and get to the root cause of this problem. And who is financing Boko Haram? Where are they getting money from?
That's another big thing that that's another big issue we've not been able to crack, because obviously they must be getting money
Of
from
course.
somewhere.
Oh, no, they have a lot of
They have a
money.
lot of money.
A lot.
Anyway, apart from Boko Haram now, let's talk about something else. I mean, just not quite long ago now, we had the northern group now, the northern youths, the ROI youths who issued that quit notice, come out to say they have withdrawn the quit notice and all of that. And somehow it would appear IPOB is beginning to, temper things down. I mean, we saw Nnamdi Kanu come out the other day to say they are not going to resort to violence and all of that, especially after meeting with one of the senators from the southeast and all of that. Of course, we're not hearing from the Yoruba Liberation Command or whatever. But you look at all of this, do you think somehow things are changing, that they approach? Because obviously the government representative met with the ROI youth. You also have the senator meeting with the IPOB guys. You think the approach is, this approach is working?
That's why many people were praying that the president should get well and come back. Because when he was not around, all these things were going on. The acting president has done his best, but you have to realize that he is not the president. The final say does not belong to him. So he is doing his own bit. But as soon as the president comes in, and that's why we're advising, actually, that addressing the military and the security agencies to crush, I think is a bad way to go about it.
Well, we're not very sure that he actually asked them to crush.
Because if you listen to
That's
the speech,
the insinuation.
Yeah, that's insinuation, and of course they've gone out too. But I would advise the security agencies to, because they understand this country very well.
Very well.
They should sit down, draw up a very good operational order in handling this directive from the president. And I think the best way to go about it is dialogue. Because there is no way.
Because at least we're beginning to see some
Yes.
results from the
Yes.
dialogue. That
Even Nnamdi Kanu of IPOB have said it, that what he wants from the president is to bring a superior argument for him to give up what he's doing. That is dialogue.
Exactly.
You bring a superior argument, or I bring my own arguments, and then we sit down and we agree, because I don't think it will be in the best interest of Nigeria now for us to either start having a war. People who didn't go through the last war, will be shouting, but for those of us who went through it, we'll never pray that we have another war in this country. So I think it will all end up on the negotiating table. Where we have to.
Funny enough, after every battle eventually ends up.
It's negotiations that work out. The president has all the intelligence he needs in addressing these issues, be it with the Arewa, IPOB, or the Yorubas in the southwest. The DSS, in its jobs every day, furnishes the presidency with more than enough intelligence to know what's going on. So he has all these facts. And as the president, he should be able to hold a roundtable conference and, okay, what are your problems? Let's address these issues. They are peculiar to every geographical location in this country. Everybody has his own differences.
Exactly.
So let's address them all. And let's be very fair in what we are doing. Let's not try to be clever, because it will only backfire in the short term. So let the president sit down, hold meaningful negotiations with all parties concerned, and get this country going. That's just the long and short of it.
The military solution will certainly
it will not. No military solution is going to work. No crushing this or crushing that is going to work. It's not going to work.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on this issue of Boko Haram and the suicide bombing. Let's just hope something is done to stop it, because, when you cannot see your enemy,
that's even more dangerous.
That's even more dangerous. it's really dangerous. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.